We're back, and the storm for now seems to have passed. It was quite a deluge. Taylor just made it back in time. Seb and I were home safely, but Steve was not so lucky, and he got drenched, so I'm not too sure what he's going to be up to now. But we're heading back towards the Hukumuri male leopard. As some of you may know, there's some exciting news regarding a leopard that was spotted on the dam cam. It sounds like it could be a young male called Tamba. And I just thought I'd stop here to show you the beautiful, beautiful scene out to the west. Is that not spectacular? The air is crisp and clean now after that rain has moved through, and a beautiful glow off to the west. Now, as much as I would like to stay here and think about happy memories, we're not going to do that. We're going to head straight back towards the Hukumuri male, who we left perched up on a termite mound, and it's going to be interesting to see whether he's still there. I think it was Kylie who asked what would happen if a storm came in. Would he just stay there and weather it, or would he move off? And time will tell. Hope you're still watching, Kylie, and I hope it was Kylie that actually asked that question a bit earlier. Cool. We're only about 5 minutes away. I think Taylor's just about to head out. We had to get our rain roofs on and just make sure we are ready in case there's another deluge. David, you'd like to know how much rain fell? I mean, it was literally 5 minutes of decent downpour, but yeah, not much rain, to be honest. Better than nothing, of course, but I mean, I wouldn't even be able to hazard. Maybe 1 mil of rain fell. So I was about to say I wasn't going to hazard a guess, but I did. Cool. Well, thank you to all of you who are appreciating our efforts to come back out after the storm, and it's a great pleasure, and it's very exciting to be able to head out. I think after the rain has fallen, everything's crisp and clean. Maybe some serpents will start slithering about. That'll be wonderful if we get to see some snakes, and snakes do tend to like to move after there has been rain, so good prospects for a snake maybe at some point in the evening. Alrighty. Mr. T, you would like to know if we can show you some lions. Yes, we certainly can, just not today. There's no lions on our property today, Mr. T. The pride that usually spends time with us are further north of... Have I just driven past where I'm supposed to go? I have. Not thinking very clearly, am I? Let's turn around here. So yeah, Mr. T, sadly our local kind of resident pride is not on our property. We cannot drive wherever we like. There are road boundaries which limit us to certain areas of the Sabi Sands Reserve. So the animals can go and do what they like, it's just that we can't, and that's merely to make sure that any one area where people on safari is not too congested, which is a great thing, but it does mean there are periods where there simply are no lions around. But fear not, Mr. T, a leopard will be a wonderful animal to spend some time with, and I guess there's not just one, but 2 leopards on the cards. Okay, one of which Taylor's going to look for right now. Hopefully it won't take long for her to find it, and she would like you guys to hop on board and join her in her search. Whoops. Obviously some small issue with Taylor's audio there, but fear not, it'll be rectified shortly, I'm fairly sure of that. And we've just got about a minute or two until we negotiate a little bit of off-roading, which will lead us to where we left this big male leopard who's been perched and poised on a termite mound waiting for some warthogs to come out of it. He's been there since this morning, if any of you have just jumped on board with us. So he's been in the spot now for almost 12 hours. How cool is that? Jeez, I'm doing a terrible job concentrating today. What is wrong with you, Scott? Get with the program, buddy. So busy chatting to you guys, I'm not concentrating about where I'm going. Now Taylor's got quite a tricky job on her hands. It's gonna be difficult to see any tracks unless the leopards walk through some muddy areas. But she is snooping about, and I hope she gets lucky. Sounds like there might be another vehicle who's out there helping her search, so that's good news. Noriko, you'd like to know if elephants like the rain, and yes, they love it. Cools them off, provides their vegetation with much needed moisture so that it grows and becomes tasty. And yes, as a general rule, as far as I'm concerned, elephants do not mind the rain at all. Okay, so I've just got visual of the termite mound. We're not far away now, and no visual of the leopard just yet. Where could he be? Huh. When we first came onto this... Oh, that's a stump. Justin, you'd like to know what I think my career would be if I wasn't a guide. And... good question. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't have a clue. I've always wanted to be a guide from a young age, so it was always kind of the plan. And I left the bush for a short period. After I had guided for 3 years at the same camp, I actually got a little bit burnt out, and I thought that I'd done my time. And I moved back to the city and worked for a property auction house, of all things. That only lasted for a few months because our boss got caught for being involved in some fraudulent activities. Which, you know, was a blessing in disguise because I was enjoying the job, the money was really good, and it was nice to be back in the city and have a bit of normality in my life. Oh, sorry, another stump. And after the company got closed down, I was kind of at a bit of a loose end. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And one of my friends from high school who lives in Kenya actually called me then, and he heard that I was unemployed and needed some help privately guiding some safaris up in Kenya. So I went up there, what was planned to be only for a month, and I ended up spending a year there before I came home for a 2-week holiday, and then I spent another year there before coming back for another holiday, which I planned to spend 2 months back in South Africa. And it was during that period of time when I thought I was going to be heading back to Kenya that I heard about Wild Earth and Safari Live, and here I am today. Okay, well, there is no immediate sign of this leopard. Now, because we've got the roof on, it makes filming a little bit tricky for Seb to show you everything that's going on, but we'll just have to take my word for it that the termite mound is just on our left. We've got one of the flaps down just to try and prevent too much rain coming in. In this long grass, I must just drive very carefully. He could be nearby. I don't want to startle him unnecessarily. Okay, very good. Well, Taylor's managed to rectify her audio issues, so why don't we send you back to her.
Right, this time hopefully you can hear me. We are drenched and soaked and not cold yet, but I suspect that chill is going to come through in a minute. My goodness, what a hectic storm. So hectic, I didn't even see time. I could barely see. I had my sunglasses on, trying to get back and out of the lightning. So we weren't really running away from the rain. Water doesn't bother me too much. I quite like it, in fact. However, I'm petrified of being struck by lightning. It's one of my fears. So now we're trying to find Tamba. I don't know where he's gone, but Taxon, I don't know if you may have seen if you're watching on the dam cam, myself and Taxon met up, we had a quick chat. He's obviously got Fanotti on his car, who's his tracker, and can see the tracks a lot better than we can, positioned right in front of the vehicle. So he's going to go in the direction where you all said that he went, towards Mvubu Road, and then of course he's going to let us know if he does see anything. Well, let me just check this, the game drive radio is going. And we've gone up Gari Katla? Yeah. Going back towards the boundary, to Buffalo's Hook boundary, and then we'll go, I don't think we're going to go on the main road, I think we're going to go on the fire break back around and see if we can see anything. Couldn't see any tracks though, so if he was moving while pouring with rain, that would expect his tracks would have been covered by the rain. However, if it had stopped slightly, we should have seen his tracks quite nicely, but we couldn't see any. So we're just having a little scratch around, see what else is happening. But there's still a bit of lightning lingering. I don't know if we're going to get another pour of rain coming in that direction. But let's go back across to Scott.
Sorry guys, it seems like Taylor's signal was a bit shaky there, but welcome back on board with me and Seb. There's no immediate sign of him where we left him. He could be lying up in the grass. It's very thick, but I'm inclined to think that he may have actually moved off. I don't know why, again just a gut feeling. So I'm going to do a big loop, continuing on in the direction that he was moving in this morning before he came to this termite mound where he's been all day. So I'll do a big loop in that direction. If we have no further sign of him, then I may return back to the mound again. Just checking the road carefully for any tracks, but interestingly the kind of opposite happens when rain falls to what you think, because you would think all the kind of ground becomes soft and muddy and easy to see tracks in, but it's not necessarily the case. Like on this road where we're driving now, it's actually kind of solidified all the little dusty particles that were creating a fine layer of dust on the top, which receives a track quite well, and therefore it obviously makes the tracking harder. There are obviously some really soft muddy portions of certain roads that you can see tracks in, but for the most part it's actually more difficult to track after the rain, believe it or not. Oh, I've just seen the cutest little frog. Let me see if I can find it. 1 second, you're not going to be able to see me. How cute is this little thing? It's called a Bushveld rain frog. And as you can tell, it's absolutely tiny. How cool! And just like I said, snakes may come out after the rain. These Bushveld rain frogs are another animal that like to come out after the rain. And they're an interesting little animal because they waddle, they don't jump, so there's no risk of it jumping off my hand here. They don't have that ability. They're little waddling frogs. Cool, I don't want to keep it from its business for too long. I just thought I'd like to show you, so I'm going to plop it back on the ground where I found it. Have a nice day. Okay, time to find the leopard. And I'm glad a lot of you guys thought that little critter was very cute. It certainly is one of the cutest amphibians out there, in my opinion. And even though I'm in love with the foam nest frogs, as some of you may know, the Bushveld rain frogs are also very cute. Not as sexy as the foam nest frog, in my opinion, though. Different genres. One's cute, one's sexy. Okay. Now, we are going to find this leopard walking down the road. His general direction of movement was this way this morning, so if he continued on, then this is where we may find him. If not him, we may find some sign of him moving down here at least. I'm also checking quite carefully on any termite mounds as we go along, and just dangling my head over the side just to make sure we don't get lucky with any tracks. Good stuff. Well, we're going to keep investigating this area for any further signs and send you across to poor old Steve, who a little bit earlier was quite soaked. I hope he's got a change of clothes.
Quite soaked is another term for a drowned rat. Senzo and I made it back from Chitwa. We managed to get back in time to, we've now got the roof on, and sorry for the delay, folks. We probably should have started the show with the roof. I do humbly apologize for that, but we are back down south. We'll see what we can see. We do have a change of clothes. We had some incredible lightning and probably one of the biggest downpours of rain I've experienced in some time. At one point, Senzo and I actually had to pull over because I couldn't see, and guess what tree we pulled underneath? Jackleberry. That exact same Jackleberry ended up being our savior for a few moments, which was marvelous. Helped us just to get the stinging rain out of the eyes. I've even damaged my microphone in the hat, had to replace that, so that took another couple of minutes. So do apologize for the delay, but we are back out and the rain seems to have passed, but we do have the roof on and we are ready to show you some wonderful things. Wonderful things. What's that, Sense? Senzo had to go into his cage. He was actually hiding under the sheets at one point. Francis wonders if we collect the rain here. Unfortunately, we don't. We should, but the rainfall is not enough, and it's not all the time. So if we collected rainfall, it would only last for the summer months, and then it would be gone. But I still believe we should capture everything we have. It's something we could put forward. We do need some rain covers, or sorry, some rainwater tanks. Collect all the rainwater off the roofs. I think that would be ideal, especially if we start growing a small veggie garden, some herbs. It would be wonderful if we could collect some water. We don't have the hugest amount of roof area, but it is better than nothing. Apologies for that. The birds, though, ladies and gentlemen, are absolutely loving it. After some rain like this, the dust has settled. They've managed to get themselves nice and wet, and they're all sitting in their trees, preening themselves, cleaning themselves, getting all those ablutions done before the evening. And remember, it was a very warm day, so a huge amount of respite for the animals after such a warm afternoon. And it is going to be quite a nice, cool evening. The freshness, I wish you could smell it. There's nothing quite like the smell of the African bush after a thunderstorm. And what we saw on the way back, I had many of these. I apologize if the bar is in the way, but these little specks, hinged tortoises, always disappearing, were in the road and were drinking the puddles of water. So that saves them a lot of time. Remember, we were with that leopard tortoise. He was quite far from the dam. So after some rain, these tortoises will drink the water off puddles, off of the leaves themselves, and they'll obviously be able to sustain themselves without having to go a long distance to drink. So from me, we're going to go over to Taylor, and she's going to be welcoming our school for the afternoon, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Hello everybody from a Tomahawk School. It's very nice to have you with me today. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is David. Now, For those of you who have never joined us on a safari before, it's very exciting, and you can actually ask us questions because this is a live safari. It's happening right now in South Africa. So all you have to do is ask your teacher some questions. And what David and I are doing this afternoon is, firstly, we got so soaked. The rains just came pouring down over the top of us. So we had to put our roof on, and we didn't even get to change our clothes. We're still in our wet clothes, but we'll be okay. And now, how exciting is this? The rain has brought out all sorts of animals. I've been seeing lots of tortoises. Hopefully we'll see some more. Maybe we see a snake. I'm also looking for a leopard. How nice would that be? Right, let's have a little look here and see what we can have a look for. There goes a little birdie. I heard some birds alarming in the distance, making that sound that you might be able to hear a little bit. And normally when they make that sound, either it's because of us giving them a fright, or sometimes they see a predator, like a leopard, and then they will alarm call. So they'll basically be screaming. They're going, ah, help, help, help. Now, all of you from Tomahawk School, you're wondering what is the name of the park. So we are in an area called the Sabi Sand Wildtuin. So it's a private area. You can't just come on safari here all by yourself. You've actually got to come on safari or stay at one of the lodges in order to come here. But we're very close to the Kruger National Park, which maybe some of you have heard before. It's a very famous safari destination, and it's a huge area. So basically, the greater Kruger, which the Sabi Sands is also included in, is just over 8 million acres. It's huge. It's massive. You can just drive and drive and drive for days. So now I think I'm going to have to put some lights on. So hopefully these lights that I just put on now are going to help me with seeing the footprints of this leopard. Because he's around here somewhere. He was just seen, but then we had to go home because the lightning was too bad. We didn't want to get struck by lightning. It can be a little bit dangerous. And as most of you know, you mustn't hide under trees if there is lots and lots of lightning. So I'm going to do a combination of driving, sitting and listening to see if I can maybe hear if someone is telling me where the leopard is walking, maybe a squirrel or a bird, or even an impala, which is an antelope alarming. Scott is also searching for a leopard, and he had one a little bit earlier.
Yes, we certainly are looking for a leopard just like Taylor. My name's Scott, and I'm teamed up with Seb on camera. Now, we had to rush back to camp, as I'm sure Taylor told you, because we had a big downpour of rain. And between then and heading back out, this male leopard that we're looking for has moved away from the area where we had seen him this morning. And it was very interesting because he led us to the home of some warthogs. And if you don't know what a warthog is, it's like an African pig, really. And they're grey in color and they live in burrows under the ground. And the leopards are very clever, and they know that if they wait there early in the morning, they've got a chance of catching a warthog when they come running out of the burrow. And the leopard had been very, very patient. It had waited there the entire day. We left it. It found the warthog's home at 6 o'clock this morning. It's now 6:30 in the evening, so it nearly stayed in the same spot for 12 full hours, waiting patiently for a meal. But he seems to have moved off. He may still be lying in the long grass in the general area where we left him. We did go and look there earlier, but there was no sign, so we'll continue to go back there. Maybe he's moved position to somewhere where we can see him. Now, I get lonely very easy, everyone, so please ask as many questions as you can, otherwise I'm going to get sad. So anything that comes to mind, anything you want to know about coming to Africa or being on safari or the animals here. Oh, well, Robert, you've just mentioned that you would love to be doing some of the off-roading, just like we're doing now. And it is lots of fun, but quite tricky at this time of the year because the grass, as you can see, is so long that we can't see any hidden tree stumps or holes. So it can be a little bit tricky, but it certainly is a good challenge, and it's very exciting following the animals off the roads. we're quite lucky because the vehicle that we use is very short. It's not nearly as long as the other regular safari vehicles, which have got lots of tourists on the back. So that allows us to wiggle through the bush a little bit more easily than the regular safari vehicles. Wonderful stuff. Well, we are hopefully going to have a good update for you soon with this leopard. And while we continue our search, we're going to send you across to Steve to see what he's getting up to.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Welcome to my side of the show. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined by the very talented Senzo Mkize on the camera. And we got caught in a very strong thunderstorm just now. The lightning was bellowing. Senzo was hiding under the covers at the back here. It was quite a frightening experience. So we rushed all the way back to camp and we got ourselves changed and a roof on the car. And now we're headed back out to see what wonders we can find in the African bush after this very nice downpour of rain. It is really, really cool, and the wind has changed. It's very strong wind. Hello, Mrs. Nicholson. Welcome to the show. My favorite animal in the savanna biome would be undoubtedly the honey badger. Now, I will probably have to show you a picture of the honey badger because you might not have seen one. Just give me a moment because I have tucked all of my books away because of the weather. Honey badger is probably... Sorry about my audio. Is it back again? Sorry about the audio, folks. Let me just find. The honey badger is my favorite animal. Where are you? You're not a honey badger. Maybe it's just under badger. B. Sorry about that. Let me navigate this book. For some reason. There we go. 142. Here we go. Here is the wonderful honey badger at the top. This one at the top right. He is very, very cool. Probably one of the most aggressive animals that you find around. And I know my friend James doesn't like us using the word aggressive, or he doesn't like to use it, but these animals are small and they chase lions, they chase leopards. They are not scared of anything. I've been chased by them before, and it is quite a frightening experience. But they have so much attitude and just physically strong. So I'm sorry if you're losing the audio. I did damage my microphone in the wet weather, so I'll try and keep still. But that is my favorite animal, and I would love to show you one. They are an animal that is known to be crepuscular. Now what that means is they're active at dusk and dawn. This is the kind of time of day when they are most active. They're running around looking for insects and scorpions. They will feed on snakes. They will actually kill snakes and eat them. And if they get bitten by snakes, they do not die. So that makes them even cooler, don't you think? The very elusive honey badger. And the black and white you saw on the back, the back was white and the body was black, shows animals that they are dangerous. Grant, what are the black things on the road? Maybe we passed something before. Was a big black ball like that? That was a big pile of elephant dung. It's very black now because of the water, but maybe I'll find another one for you and show you. Elephants deposit huge balls of dung on the road as they feed on all of the leaves and vegetation. They move around and they drop these really large dung piles, which are full of... There we go. There's 1 cent. I'm going to grab it for you quickly. Just hold on for me for a second. Yes, I'm going to grab elephant dung with my hands. Okay, here we go. I'm going to come back around. Here it is. That is a big pile of dung, and that is only one. It comes out in probably about 5 or 6 of those big balls, and then they fall on the ground. But inside, I'm going to just break it open and throw that little bit away. Inside there is particles of grass, there are particles of trees. This time of year, because it's green and there's lots of rain, the elephants feed mainly on the grass. But in the winter time, because it's our summer now, as it starts to get dry, they start feeding on the leaves and the branches and the twigs and the roots of lots of the trees. So you'll get lots more of that in the diet. So that is a nice big pile of elephant dung. Wipe it off on my pants. All good. So I hope that answers your question, but very important for the environment because the organic material from the tree is moved around and lots of insects live inside the dung. So when we see them, you probably noticed I didn't drive over it. I drove around it, not to squash it, because inside can be hundreds and thousands of little bugs. So it's important that we don't squash them because they're important for everything that goes on out here. And then lots of small birds and medium-sized birds will feed on the dung, on the insects, and it's very important for the system to have this environment and to have these ecosystems. And that ball itself is everything inside is phenomenal. One thing that you can do is you can actually burn it. You can burn the dung. It's got quite a strong smell and it keeps away mosquitoes. So we have a lot of mosquitoes in Africa, and a lot of mosquitoes responsible for malaria, which is a disease that can kill you. So it's quite nice to use the elephant dung to burn to keep those mosquitoes away. Okay, so we're going to continue on south and we're going to go over to my friend Taylor, who's got something hiding in the grass.
Something in the grass, but it's not alive. Now, last year and also in 2016, actually 2015, 2016 were really bad years for the animals, especially in this area, because there wasn't very much water, there wasn't much rain, and lots of them died during the drought. So there was no grass, there was no leaves, there was absolutely nothing for the sad animals to eat. But it made it very easy for things like leopards and lions to catch all sorts of animals because they were quite weak. And the lions, being the biggest cats in Africa, decided that it was quite easy to catch their favorite food, which is a buffalo. So those are the bones that you're looking at the moment, all in the grass. It's the leftovers, bits and pieces of buffalo. I can't see the skull though, so I can't see the head. So I think that those naughty hyenas that can eat bones and often come and scavenge and eat the last of the scraps of whatever the lions have left behind, I think that they must have dragged it somewhere, because sometimes, and it sounds a little bit gross, but sometimes the hyenas are the only ones that can break open the head and then eat the brain. I mean, they're like zombies, I suppose, eating brains, hey? But the brain will be very delicious and lots of nutrients for them to eat. So that was quite cool to see. But we're not even on a road anymore. We've moved off the road. The reason why we did that is because we are looking for that leopard. We haven't found it yet, but I'm determined. Oh, there's the skull. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it to you because it's under some tall grass. And I have got a roof on the car. Also, this is something that you must all remember. I'm just going to watch carefully that I don't drive into a stump here. You must never pick up something that you don't know, especially when you're out in the bush, because you can get bacteria, it can make you very sick and send you to hospital. Something could be poisonous. So I don't like to pick up bones, and we try and leave them alone. But I'll pick up horns and things, but it didn't look like there were any horns in that grass. But also now it's starting to get a little bit dark, so I don't want to be spending too much time outside the car. Ooh. Now, we're driving around, and I know we haven't seen many animals, but I promise you they're out here somewhere. And Mrs. Nicholson, you were wondering, what other animals do we have out here in the park? Well, I think we should talk about the animals that we could maybe see now at night time. So, of course, we're looking for leopards. We're looking for lions. Something else that we're looking for, which I'll be very excited to show you, is a chameleon. Have any of you seen a chameleon before? Hopefully, if you haven't, I'll be able to show just one. Then we're looking for owls, because they also come up. Maybe something like a bush baby. I bet none of you even have any idea what a bush baby is. Let me see if I've got a mammals book here. Let me quickly go through this little dip and just jump out the other side, because sometimes the picture can break up here and we don't want that to happen. I'm sure I brought a mammals book with me. I'm just going to park the car right here. Oh yeah, this car is called Jigger, by the way. All our cars have names. Right, let's do some digging. Maybe in my secret box where I keep my camera. Let me put that up here and try and undo it. Not much room in here. I don't. I'm so sorry, everybody. Oh no, wait, is it hiding? No. I've only got a butterfly book and a bird book, so I can't show you a picture of a bush baby. But I know Steve has got a mammal's book with him, so maybe when you go back and you visit Steve, he'll be kind enough to show you what a bush baby looks like. Wouldn't that be cool? And they're going to be bouncing from tree to tree, so you've got to be quick when you're searching for them. You've got to be so quick. What else could we see tonight? David, what's your favorite nocturnal creature? So that's what we call the nighttime animals. Here we go. David says he likes civet. So there we go. Maybe my friend Steve can help you also show you a picture of a civet. It's a crazy looking thing. It looks like a cat and a raccoon put together. It's strange, but maybe Steve will be able to show you. And he's got his mammals book out, so I think he's paging through trying to find those animals. Let's go and see if he can find the bush baby and the civet.
I do have my book, Taylor, and boys and girls, you must remember to always have your books with you and to always do your homework. Now, I've got 2 of them here. They're also known as galagos, and let's see if we can get that. See that one up there? The top one is called a thick-tailed bush baby, and they are quite big in comparison. They're about 70 to 80 centimeters, so almost 2.5 ruler lengths. Whereas the one on the bottom, this is the lesser. Look at those ears. Look at those eyes. I'm going to show you another picture of him now. On the other page, there he is in the tree. How cute is that? He's standing there while holding on the branches. They love the trees, and they feed on insects as well as the gum. They like to jump around the tree and dig their teeth. You can see these very sharp teeth over here. They dig those into the bark of the tree, and then they drink the juice like maple syrup. And I'm sure all of you out there enjoy your maple syrup with your pancakes. The only thing is they don't have pancakes. They just have the syrup and insects. Tasty, tasty. I think another one you asked to see was the African civet. Let me find you the civet. Let me just practice my book again. Civet, 160. 1 second. Almost there. Here we go. There he is. Some people think it looks similar to a raccoon. See the black and white? Now these animals, they smell very, very bad. So bad that no animals eat them. Some animals might kill them from time to time, such as leopard and lion, but they have such a disgusting smell, and they eat very disgusting insects that animals leave them alone. And you see the black and white, like the honey badger, the black and white is a warning. It's basically, sorry about the glare, it's basically telling other animals at night, don't come for me, there's something wrong. I either am dangerous or poisonous or taste very bad. And in the case of the civet, they do. They taste very, very bad. They were actually used a very long time ago to make that very strong smell in perfume, but a very long time ago. They don't use that anymore, and I think that was very cruel to do. That was extracting that from a gland in the civet, and it was something called civetone. You love honey badgers. That is your class mascot. I absolutely love all of you now. That is my favorite animal, and I think you have chosen probably the coolest mascot out there. I wonder if you've watched any videos on honey badgers. There are lots of them on YouTube. You should watch them and see how cool they are. I really like their attitude and how they run around. And one time I was sitting in a pride of lions. I was sitting, the lions were lying here. There was about 20 lions lying like this. And a honey badger came running from the side with all the attitude in the world. And he didn't notice the lions. And suddenly he was inside the lions. They all jumped up, looked at him, and he went, "Arr, arr." And the lions all went, "Go through, sir." And they let the honey badger run straight out the other side, and he just kept running. A lion didn't even attempt to go for him because he just said, "I am too aggressive for you." And lions look at animals like that and go, "That's way too much work for just a little bit of meat." And I don't think the honey badger tastes very good either. And they're very tough. Their skin is very, very strong. I once watched a video of a leopard taking about 45 minutes to kill a honey badger, and then he let it go because it was just too much work. Okay, so we are almost at Chitwa Dam again. The lightning is still in the distance there. Hopefully we don't get caught in it. We're going to go to Scott, who has got a tree.
Yes, we've got a tree, but there's an animal in the tree that we would like to show you. It's quite tricky because it's very windy, but you can see there's a little pale shape there. There it is. That's called a katydid. It's almost kind of like a grasshopper, but they're nocturnal. And what actually caught my attention was its pale shade. I thought it may have been a baby chameleon, which would have been absolutely awesome. They look a very similar color, and if Seb zooms out a bit more, you'll see what I'm looking for when I'm looking for chameleon. You see how that little bug is a slightly different color to the rest of the leaves in this tree, and that's exactly what you're looking for when you are hoping to find a chameleon after dark with a spotlight. And it looks like this little guy is just chilling out for now. It may be nibbling on those leaves, but for now it's bedtime. Grant, you would like to know, why is it so dark? Because it's the morning over there. And it's a good question, Grant. Hello everyone. There's some other tourists driving past us. And Grant, basically how the world works is that, and this isn't a good example, but I'll use it anyway. When you generally look at a map of the world, Africa is usually here in the middle, and America is on the left-hand side of the map, and Australia and New Zealand and those countries are on the right-hand side. And how the time zones work, because the sun rises and sets at different times in different parts of the world. So right now the sun has set here in South Africa, which means it's disappeared from us, but it's risen in America. So it's all different. You are behind us, okay, so we are in the future basically. We're going to go into, what's tomorrow? Friday. So our Friday will start in 5 hours time, but your Friday will only start in probably about 12 or even more hours in that time. And Australia, it's already Friday there. It's probably midnight in Australia. So each different country, depending where on the world you are, has got different time zones. So if you ever go on holiday, you'll have to change your watch if you do change time zones. And even in America, between the East Coast and the West Coast, there are different time zones because you guys live in such a big country. I hope that helps. It's quite tricky to understand and explain, but I hope that helped you, Grant. Good. Okay, well, that was a false alarm. I really was hoping it was a chameleon, but we've still got some time to not only find a chameleon, but maybe a leopard. Who knows what else we could bump into after rain. The snakes like to slither about, and that would be lovely to see. We don't see snakes very often. They're one of my favorite animals to view. And importantly, it's good that you know that snakes are usually very scared of humans. So that's why we don't see them a lot. There's lots of snakes here, but they hide from us. They don't want to have anything to do with us. And it's only usually when you're trying to catch them or kill them that they actually try and defend themselves and bite you. It's not very often that you're sleeping in bed and a snake slithers up and bites you on the nose. It's when we're trying to be nasty to them. So always remember that with snakes. I know a lot of people all around the world are very scared of them, but as long as you give them the respect that they need and the space that they need, they will avoid you just as much as you want to avoid them. There's a bird on the road here. Now I'm going to turn off my lights, and we're going to use the infrared light that we've got on the vehicle, which basically is a special light that lets us see after dark without interfering with the animals. Oh no, it flew off. Let's check further down the road. No, let me use my spotlight quickly. Oh, it fluttered off. Anyway, now we're back to the regular light, and it's important that you guys know why we like to use the infrared lights. It's so that we don't interfere with what the animals are doing. Obviously, if you shine a big bright spotlight like I'm using here in anyone's face, it's not going to be very pleasant. So we just like to do it to find the animals, and as soon as we find the animals, then we switch over to the invisible infrared light that only the camera is clever enough to see with. And it really is wonderful how modern technology and all the incredible things that some very clever people around the world are making actually help us out on safari. So we're loving all the advancements and toys that we're getting as the years go by. Okie dokie, well, I'm hoping we're going to find you a chameleon and a leopard sooner rather than later. I'm not too sure what Steve is hoping to find you guys.
Thank you very much. Look at what we found in the dam. We've got a mama hippo submerged there in the water, and if you pay careful attention on the right-hand side of her head, just wait for it, you'll see a baby pop up there. There it is. Look at that. Unbelievable. One of the largest land mammals in the world, and it is sitting right here in the water. It's getting ready for coming out. At night, the hippos like to go out and feed. Like the elephant, they like to feed on grass, except they feed on grass all the time. They don't feed on leaves and branches like the elephant do. And this female, you can tell that the baby is very young because she's separated from the rest of the hippos. If the baby was a bit older, she'd be a bit closer to them. But because the baby's very young and she doesn't want it to get squashed, because the hippos are big, round, heavy animals, she likes to go away from the rest and to keep her baby safe that way. If we listen, you just heard the hippo calling there. Julian, that is a question everybody wants to know. Have I ever had an animal sneak up on me? Animals are not sneaky, Julian. Human beings are sneaky. Animals, they have intentions. They show you their body language and then they carry it out. But animals out here most of the time are actually quite afraid of us. But then we don't go walking at night. At daytime we can walk because we can see, but at nighttime lions and leopards are then very active and they have no fear of us at night. So I've never been snuck up on by one, but don't walk at night, Julian. That is the way to go forward. And if you come out here on safari, make sure you listen to your guides and the people in charge and do what they do, and I promise you, everything will be fine. Okay, so that hippo, we're going to leave her in the water as she's probably going to go out pretty soon to go feeding. We could hear a few of them in the distance just before you came to us, and they're going to go out on their nightly feed. Oh, there goes my lights. So wonderful how the temperature has changed from earlier. It was so warm. It was almost 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Layla, how fast do leopards run? That is a very good question. Now, leopards can run about 23 meters a second. So that is about 60, 70 feet in a second. That's pretty fast at their full charging speed. Okay, so now when they're running, they can run at about 91 kilometers an hour. So that is about 40 odd miles an hour. So it's very, very fast. But leopards and lions don't run very fast for very long. They run very fast over a very short distance. Sorry about the bumps here. They try to get as close as they can. So like what Julian said, they sneak up on animals, other animals, not on us. And then once they get very close, they launch themselves at that very fast speed, and then they catch them. Okay, we're going to go over to Taylor and see what she has got for you this afternoon.
Well, remember how we were talking about what animals we can see at night? Here's one of them. It's not an owl, though. Of course, it's a bird, but it's a very special bird. It's called a nightjar. Now, this one is actually a fiery-necked nightjar, and they have the coolest call. I'm going to search for it while I tell you about this bird. Now, there are nocturnals. Remember I said to you that's what we call animals that like to come out at night. It's nocturnal. And then if they're around during the day, we call it diurnal, for daytime. And this bird is sitting on the road in the open now. And the reason why it's doing this is because it's waiting for any insects to fly over the top of its head. So it's got really, really good eyesight, but it's not going to see that bird, not the bird, the insect, it's all its colors. It's actually going to see the silhouette. So it's going to see the shadow. You know, if you put something in front of the sun, how it becomes quite black, that's a silhouette. And that's exactly what will happen. The insects will fly over the top of its head, and then it will swoop up. It's like an acrobat, really. And then catch the insect and bring it down to the ground and then gobble it up. And you see, that's why it's looking up in the air all the time, constantly moving its head around, trying to spot any little insects. And also, while it sits and waits, it's just going to fix its feathers. Now, birds have to constantly keep preening themselves, so that's also that's the word we use when we're talking about birds grooming themselves or cleaning themselves. We call it preening. And in order for them to fly, and especially a nightjar that needs to swoop up very quickly, it needs to make sure that all its feathers are in check. Oh, it just flew up and away. I thought it was going to land back down on the ground again. So they've got little hooks on their feathers. And if you ever find a feather in the park or maybe outside at school, if you take it and you pull it a little bit and you make the feathers all messy, then you hold it gently and you pull. Hang on, I might even be able to show you. Let me get my box of tricks again. Let me look in here. And unclip it. The reason why, I put that over there. Ow, my finger's stuck. I haven't got much room in this car. I have a blue book with lots of really cool feathers in it, actually. I've got a secret compartment. Everything's getting... There we go. Look. Which feather are we going to get? Which feather are we going to get? I've got lots of nice feathers in here. Let's take one from... Oh, a nightjar feather. Huh. Yeah, let's go back to color. So we're in the infrared now. So this is actually quite cool. In fact, this feather, you'll see it's lovely colors. I'm going to hold it a little bit closer so I can get some more of the light on. Is that all right, David? So look there. So that feather is actually from a nightjar. And now what I wanted to show you is you can see it's all nice. You can do that. So it looks like the bird was caught in a storm. It was out in the rain. Now it needs to fix itself. So what it will do, it will take its beak and it will run its beak through the feathers like that. And do it to the other side. Obviously it will take a little bit longer than I'm doing it. Perfect. Back to normal. So there's tiny little hooks that we can't really see, but I bet if you put it under a microscope, you could see the little hooks, and they all realign with one another. So there we go. You can go home and you can show your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers a really cool trick. Very nice, don't you think? And it's got beautiful camouflage on it as well. All nice and brown. Let me put that back because I like to collect feathers, the ones that I find. Should we see what other feathers I've got in here? I think so. That's another nightjar feather. I almost can't see in here. This one doesn't look like much. But just on the tip over here, you can see that's actually yellow feathers there. And this feather is from a bird called a African green pigeon. So it's a very, very pretty pigeon, I promise. You're probably thinking, but Taylor, pigeons, we get them everywhere. This is a special one. And I'm going to see what else I can find. I've got a really amazing one in here that I'm actually trying to dig for you. Are you ready for this one? This is my favorite feather. Let me make it look beautiful first before I show you. I have to show you first. Okay, look at this. How cool is this feather? Hey, blue. Beautiful and blue. And look how long it is. Look at it in comparison to the size of my hand. How massive it is. And it's got a long streamer on the end. So this is from a bird called a lilac-breasted roller. And it's got purple on it, it's got blue, it's got white, but this is the end of the tail. And the males, I think the females also have them, they've got these beautiful long little feathers. We call it a streamer. Very cool. So you know when you have a party and you have streamers, it's kind of the same thing. But I have got some more feathers, but they're not in this book, unfortunately. They're all a little too big to be kept in here. So they're at home. I've got vulture feathers, I've got all sorts of other things. But let's carry on. Let's see if we can find anything else. I was hoping to see some more frogs after the rain, but this area didn't really look like got much rain at all. It seemed to have passed it. But Scott has got his spotlight out, and I was telling you about chameleons, so maybe if you ask Scott very, very nicely, he'll try and find you a chameleon.
You don't even have to ask me nicely, I'm already trying. I don't know where Taylor found all of her feathers, but I'm quite interested by that. Beautiful feathers on the green pigeon, so very happy that you got to see those. Now, we've come back to a bush where a chameleon was seen a few days ago. And I'm hoping that it might still be hanging around the same area. No sign of it just yet. Come on, where are you hiding? Cole, you'd like to know if we have any poisonous snakes here. And the answer to that question is yes and no. Now you might be scratching your head, as would I. And the reason being is that the word that you used is not the correct word, but it's not your fault, and lots of people often say poisonous snakes. But no snakes are poisonous, because poison is something that you need to eat. So unless you would like to eat a snake and then get poisoned by it, then no snakes are poisonous. And even their venom that they bite you with, and that can be dangerous, even if you drink their venom, it's not poison. It won't hurt you unless you've got some big cuts in your mouth that that venom can get into your bloodstream. It's going to cause no trouble for you. So the correct word to use is venom. Venomous snakes. And yes, we do have lots of venomous snakes. And snakes basically have 3 different types of venom. Some of their venom makes your skin and flesh fall off. It rots your flesh. Other venom makes you bleed permanently. And usually when you would get a scab on a wound, your body can't make scabs anymore, and you just continue to bleed, and you can even start bleeding from your eyes and your nose. So that's a horrible one to get. That's the second type. And the third type of venom attacks your heart and all of your organs and your brain, so your body will slowly shut down. So 3 different types of venom, and we've got snakes that have all the different types of venom here. So, like I said earlier though, thankfully the snakes are not out to get us, and they are not horrible animals. They will only bite us if, as a general rule, if we're being horrible to them. Oh, Isabel, well, you've been lucky enough to find some snakes in your own backyard. And that's really cool. You said it was a garter snake, which, if I'm correct, is a very, very pretty snake. Seb, if you just zoom into the middle of where the spotlight is, there's a praying mantis in there. Literally just below that big branch, a little bit to the right. There it is, just on the top of your screen now. If you zoom in oh, there it jumps. So there's a praying mantis, a kind of predatory insect that looks like it's jumping around trying to find itself dinner. And they're quite an interesting insect because their 2 front legs are modified. Usually all insects have got 6 legs, but these guys use 4 for walking and moving, and their front 2 legs are just used for hunting. Now sadly I can't see it anymore, it's disappeared behind some bushes, but you may have got a glimpse of it as it kind of jumped from one branch to another. Okay, well, I'm going to continue. We've still got a little bit of time where we can hopefully find you some more animals, and while I do that, we're going to send you back to Steve.
Thank you very much. We've come across a bird. There he's running. It is called a water thickney or a spotted. I can't really see, but it's a nocturnal bird, and we are in infrared, so we can see this bird at night. And it has got a scorpion in its mouth. Isn't that fantastic? It has got a scorpion that has probably came out of its burrow because of the rain, and is now running around with a scorpion. It was right in front of the car. Now it's a bit shy and it's run away, but But you see how big the eyes are on the bird? It means that it likes to be active at night. They are very nocturnal, and because they've got big eyes, it means they can see. Can you see that? Oh, he's going to swallow it. You've just seen a kill, boys and girls. He's going to smack. Oh, oopsie, straight down the throat. The sting is still sticking out. Look at that. Just slipped it in. Wow, isn't that marvelous? Oh, shake his head. Now, birds don't have teeth like we do, so they will take scorpion like that and probably smash it on a log or on a rock or something until it gets nice and soft, and then they put it inside their throat before swallowing. And off he goes. There we go. That was fantastic. Well done, Seb. How cool was that? Called a water... I think that was a water thickener. I didn't get a proper look at it. Seb's trying to find the buttons to take off the infrared, but he is floundering in the dark. There we go. And there's me in infrared. I've probably got some really crazy eyes. How marvelous was that? A water or a spotted thickener. They are very similar, but the spotted's got a few more spots and occurs a little bit further away from water, where the water thickener, as the name says, is quite close to water. But we're not far from the dam. But anyway, it was a thickener, and it had a scorpion. It looked like one of the small Apistocanthus species, but don't worry, it's just a 3-banded scorpion. How nice was that? Okay, well, we got our spotlight, and we are in the search of anything that's moving around at night. We saw some nightjars already. I think Taylor showed you. And we might find an elephant, not an elephant, a leopard on the way home. And if we do, we'll come straight back just for the action. But while we're doing so, we're going to go to Taylor, who I think is also in infrared, and she's going to show you a beautiful antelope.
We do. This impala is coughing, though. Careful, it's cold, it's been raining. I hope you don't get sick, mister. But look how many there are. There's not just one, there's just eyes everywhere, and it's kind of creepy because you can see the impala. I cannot see anything. It is complete darkness here. So, look, what we're going to do is don't get a fright. We're going to turn the lights off now so that we can show you. David had a great idea. We're going to show you what we can see. Have a look. Gone. Complete black. There we go. And with that special light on that's not affecting these animals, we can see all the impala. Now, it's been very windy, it's been rainy, and I bet these impala would have been a little bit on the nervous side. So what they've done is they've come up to this big open area. We're quite close to camp as well. And the reason why they've come out here is that if there is any stars or any moon that can poke through the clouds, what will happen is that these impala will be able to see, remember how we were talking about the silhouette? And they'll be able to see any predators trying to come close to them. Because the impala, unfortunately, don't have very good eyesight at all. The lions, the leopards, they've all got much better eyesight than the impalas have. So out here they feel a little bit safer. Nobody can sneak behind a bush and try and hide away from them. They'll have a better chance of maybe getting away. But they're all on high alert. Ears pricked, listening to everything that's going on around them. I bet they're feeling a little bit more relaxed now that the wind has died down, because when the wind blows, it becomes very, 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 very difficult for the impala to hear, and that's what they're going to be relying on most now at night. But I hope that you all at Tomahawk School have had a lot of fun today. It's been great having you on our safari vehicles, and I'm sure Scott and Steve are saying exactly the same thing, and we hope you learnt a little bit. But we'll see you all next time, and to our regular viewers, remember to join in tomorrow for the Sunrise Safari.